Welcome to PAB 2011.
To me, the beginning of video on the internet and podcasting and all the stuff that you see on YouTube is almost like the beginning of film. Because the first beginning of film, you just sat down and they had these guys who made cameras and actually got the film to work, and they'd film something like a train wreck or a train coming at you or people dancing, and they really didn't know what to do with it. It was really mise-en-scène until somebody learned how to edit and how to chop things up and tell a story. And that brings me to that's rum and Coke, right? Thank you. Yes, we'll put the Coca-Cola can down so we don't have to endorse that. Right. And this is something that we do all the time in the film sets because you have to be careful of these type of things. So the story is a key part of everything we do in cinematography and, of course, in movies and everything we do in life. So I'm going to try and get you thinking about the story. Now, I'm not the expert in the story. The director is the expert in the story. But it's my job to take the director's vision of the story and put it into whatever format he wants, or in this case, IMAX 3D I do a lot of. But I've also done radio, which is interesting. I've also done all forms of video, and I do a little bit of my own producing and editing. But my main kind of dream boat type thing to do is IMAX 3D, or IMAX film in general. And IMAX is a wonderful format because the film is so big. You know, what I do for a living is I take a director's idea and I put it onto either film or video. I'm called a director of photography, a cinematographer, a videographer, a DOP, or as my wife likes to call me, a dope, a DP, which is more trendy in Toronto because people like to be called DPs, not DOPs, because I guess their wives will call them a dope. And and then I'm also a videographer, and I do all those things come underneath the heading of what I do to bring images to you. So in IMAX, that's a documentary format, mostly documentary, so we have many different things that we look at. In drama, there's many different things you look at. In nonfiction filmmaking, there's a whole different thing. Now, what's happening now, it's wonderful, is that people make movies with their cameras. I notice people filming me tonight with their cameras. I make movies with IMAX cinematography. Now, IMAX cinematography, in 3D, I got two cameras stuck together. I'm rolling film through it at $4 a foot. Okay, 1,000 feet is about 4.5 minutes worth of film. On the big Solido camera, which we call the Pig, it's a great big huge thing. It takes 4 people to carry it around. It takes 7 feet to load one eye, because we talk in eyes, right, left and right eye, and it takes 15 feet to load the other eye. And you're talking 70 millimeter film that's this big. So, and to do a scratch test to make sure that the film is going through okay, they'll roll off 30, 40 feet. So you've got like how many dollars worth of film just thrown on the ground that they're looking for scratches, which is good because if we roll off 900 feet and there's a scratch in it, nobody's happy. So we can waste some film. So it's expensive. So my responsibility is huge. So I'm not just playing with the story. I'm not just trying to tell the story with the camera. I'm also making sure technically everything is perfect. And I have a crew and everyone does their job. But the really hard part about that is to get away from the technical side of what the camera's doing, what the crane's doing, what the dolly's doing, and deal with the story. Okay, so what happens is I get on set, I totally erase my mind from everything that has to do with the technical. I let everyone else deal with it. And I try to focus on the creative stuff with the director and be the story. But I'm responsible for it, so I still need to know it. But the story is still told regardless of whether you're using an iPhone as the technology or you're using an IMAX camera. And that's basically where you're going with this talk tonight, the keynote, is that it's not the technology. You don't go out and buy yourself a $1 million IMAX camera so you can make a wonderful IMAX film. The camera's not going to make the film. It's the story that makes the film and how you portray that story. On Flickr, they have this content to tell a story in 7 pictures or 5 pictures. And somebody's taken that idea and done an educational thing. So you take 5 pictures and tell a story. So you need an establishing shot. You need a shot that's going to tell what the setup is. Then you need something that's kind of filler that's going to say this is what's happening. Then you need a shot that comes up with the resolution. And they don't necessarily have to fall in any particular order or anything. But you have to be able to tell a story. Now, when I set up a scene, if I'm doing a scene for a drama, all those things are set out for me. Like the director's they've already come up, we've have a shot list. I walk on set, I know pretty much what I'm shooting. If I was working with Hitchcock actually had every shot drawn out to the finest detail with the frame, the lens size, the angle, the movement, everything. And all of his films, if you look at his storyboards, are just exact copies from his storyboards. He had it all up here. So from a cinematographer's point of view, it's probably pretty boring to do. What would you really give the film? But your job, your happiness in your job would be giving Hitchcock exactly what he drew on the pictures. That would be the challenge. When I'm doing documentary work, you really don't know what you're doing. So I work with a director, his name is Stephen Lowe. I've been doing about maybe 3 or 4 films with him. And we go down to places that we have no idea what's going on. Like we went to Haiti. And when I get into a place like that, we don't know what's going to happen. Or we're in Tahiti, we're shooting surfing. Now, surfing's great if there's waves. There's no waves, what are you going to do? So if you spend, or as the director says, I'm spending $250,000 a day to sit on a boat. Because that's what it cost him to be there. I'm glad it wasn't him. Because I was making some of that, but not all of it. So that's okay, I say to him. The thing is, when I think of a shot, you have to think of 3 things. What established the shot? What in the shot is important to look at? And then what kind of brings you out of the shot? So the setup is always an establishing shot. So you want to say, okay, we're standing here in the middle in this room. I want to show what's going on. So I need a shot that shows me and the audience. And then I need a shot of me talking. And I might do a cut in of me holding a drink, if it was a Coke commercial. And then I need shots of people in the audience to be able to cut back and forth. Now, to shoot the whole thing live, I would actually have about 4 cameras. I'd have 2 over there. I'd have maybe 2 guys wandering around. You see that all the time when you do stage shows. And then what you have is you have somebody cut between them. So you can actually live cut a show. But when you're doing a single camera shoot, which is very much like what you would be doing if you were shooting a video of something or making a story, is you have to analyze what you're going to shoot. Now, they'll actually send me off sometimes and shoot things on my own. That's a little scary because I'm acting as a director and a DOP. That's when you really have to know what your relationship is and what the story is, because I can't just go out and shoot whatever I want. And that learn the story. I read, you have to read the script. Depends on the director, though. So some directors are verbatim to whatever they've written. Some directors, it's just a rough outline. And a lot of films are made in the edit. Editing is the biggest thing in filmmaking right now. The relationship that the director has with the member of the crew that's the longest is the editor. And part of that is, you go in and you sometimes make a film from not what you actually shot. And getting it shot is maybe one thing, and then actually editing it is another. And you can make a totally different story, you can make a totally different scene, or you can drop a whole scene. And that happens a lot too. Like, you always watch DVDs and they always have the deleted scenes. So you think, why did they shoot the deleted scenes if they didn't put that in? Sometimes I think, why didn't they leave that in? And the director will say, because the companies that are making the film, the producers, are saying it's got to be exactly within this time limit. So that's always a difficult thing to do. The more people watch, the better. And I'm not, I don't get kind of finicky about it. I'm not a snob about what you're watching it on. To me, the technology, the story supersedes the technology. What I'm seeing is more of a problem with the stories being lousy because the technology is more accessible. And so I think there's kind of like at the beginning of the video movement where people could buy video cameras. Anyone can make a feature film, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a good feature film. So that's changing, slowly getting better and better. And I think the appetite of the people who are watching the stuff on YouTube today will go past the phenomena and the reality TV thing, and it'll come back to telling a story and being, having some substance there, which will make our jobs, more interesting. Right. Thank you.